Would the drought cause a wildfire here? No. Draw. A drought. Here we go. Where they're looking, Bill? They're looking straight down here. We've got alarm calling Impala. We're just going to move slowly through here. They're looking down in this direction. I'm just going to turn off here. There they are. There they are. Right on the ground here. Well, not they. One leopard. Hooray. That will do.
I guess I doubted you for no reason then.
You doubted me for no reason, Liam. How very nasty of you.
Oh, there's the other one.
You got the others?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. The two here. Now, this doesn't look like... That looks like Tingana to me. He's snacking on something. A post-coital meal. And I wonder... Yes, this is Thandi. It must be Thandi. It's the first time I've ever seen her. But the only reason I'm saying that straight away is that look at the back of her neck. You can see that it has been mauled. And that is totally normal for the mating that happens. And let's just keep an eye out for Karula. She's still in Karula's territory. This is fantastic. Yes. I had such a strong instinct to come down this road this morning, and I resisted it. Right, let me call this in on the radio, everybody. Stations located mating pair. Tingana and Thandi looks like on Ingwe Alley, which is the two-track running between Philemon's Dip and Twin Dams Road, just to the south of Inga's house.
Copy, well done, Jim there.
Isn't they growling?
Looking to get mobile.
Look, they're growling.
Yeah.
I'll keep you posted. I'm just going to move quickly. Now you can see exactly why her neck will be covered in those cuts.
That runs between Philemon's cut line and Twin Dams.
Oh, this is just fantastic. Oh, I can't believe our luck today. Isn't this wonderful?
All right, copy. Thank you very much.
Liam, you haven't congratulated me yet.
Congratulations, eh?
Thanks very much, Liam.
Fine tracking.
Thank you. Yeah, it wasn't blind luck at all, was it? It was highly skilled tracking.
Skilled tracking.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Do you mind if I join you for a couple of minutes and then we'll allow someone else to find?
Go for it. Come from the Philemon's Dip side. So this is a new leopard for me, everyone. I've never seen her before. I think she's rather splendid. Ben, have you seen her?
Yeah, well.
Oh, well, excuse me. She's got that... no, I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but she's got that fairly typical sort of shortened face that the members of her family seem to have. If I'm not mistaken, she's Shadow's sister. Is that right, Liam?
Yeah, well.
It is. So she looks a bit like her mum, Karula, and like her sister Shadow, which is unsurprising. Now here she comes again. Voracious appetite she has. Any female leopard does when they're in estrus. They become almost desperate. Look at that, isn't this wonderful? And it does make you wonder how, when it causes such clear discomfort for both of them, how a cat's mating can go on for so long and be so kind of regular. I mean, now they will mate more than 100 times before the mating is over. And you can see once every 5 minutes or so they will mate. And that will happen for up to 3 or 4 days. I'm sure there are brief breaks in between. And it looked like Tingana was eating something there. So maybe they had a meal during the course of the evening, a scrub hare or something small. But you could see how he would happily kind of have a morning rest, but she is, as is totally normal, she is the instigator. This is just fantastic. Isn't this marvelous? Now, Brian, you want to know why it is basically that they behave in this manner, why it looks so uncomfortable, and you are correct. Male leopard has a barb on the end of his penis. Now, a barb, for those of you who don't know, it's a sort of recurved piece. So the best way to think about it is a barb on a hook, on a fish hook, which allows, of course, facilitates the hook going into the fish's mouth, but then can't come out again because there's a sharp barb. Now, why a male's penis is blessed with such a strange appendage, we think is probably because as he withdraws, it is painful for her, but we think it causes a contraction, which will then allow for his ejaculate basically to get up into her fallopian tubes, where the fertilization will take place. I think it also helps her to ovulate. I will move once they've finished this particular episode. Just listen. Isn't that a blood-curdling sound? They go down into that drainage line, sorry again. They go down into that drainage line, and they're going to be very difficult to follow. So there's a very steep drainage line there. And if they go down in there, I think they're going to be quite difficult to follow. Here she comes. Jamie, come in. I'm just going to get Jamie's location, because if she's going to come here, it might be worth her while going the other side. Might just sit there. Jamie, they're still on the road, but they look like they might be about to head south towards the drainage. I'll keep you posted. Isn't that wonderful? Look at that. Oh, that's wonderful. No, I think still come along. We can go early. They've gone static. She's rubbing herself against the pole. She's obviously a bit itchy. She's actually rubbing where he's biting her. This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. It's so exciting to see a new leopard. I know we do appreciate our old favourite Karula a lot. It's so nice for me to see a new one. Oh, and you can see the back of her head. And that's from just repeatedly being bitten by Tingana, and he will hold her down, of course, during the mating, or certainly as he withdraws, because she will flick round otherwise and slash at him. And he had a limp. Last time he mated with Karula, we got a wonderful shot of her catching his foot with one of her claws, and it really dug in there. So he does need to hold her down and then leap off before she turns around and swats him. The old term, hell hath no fury, like a woman scorned. Now, some of you will be relatively new viewers, and Joel, you want to know how much this male weighs. I think he probably weighs in the region of 80 kilograms, maybe 75 kilograms. Now, in pounds, that's about 170 pounds or so. Just going to sit here for a little while, because I think she's going to try and seduce him again in the open here. Look at that. Now watch closely how this occurs. That was a very short example. Look at the dust. Look how cross she is. Look at her anger. Her ears flattened against her head. She's hissing. We can't hear her doing it, but you can see her doing it. It's unbelievable. fantastic stuff. I'm just going to reverse a little bit so we can get slightly closer. We don't want to disturb them. We won't disturb them. Now remember, these leopards are very well habituated to vehicles. They see vehicles a lot. So I don't think we'll disturb them, but at the same time, of course, we do want to give them a relative amount of privacy, given the, well, you know, the somewhat sensitive nature of what they're engaged in. Do you want to try the VR? We're just going to start this ball of GoPros on the front of the car, if that's all right. And what that does, I'll just quickly tell you what it does. There's a ball of GoPros that will eventually give us a 360-degree or spherical view of what's going on. So you could watch the sun over the top of them, you could watch them mating, you could turn around and listen to me as my face is bathed in the golden light of the rising sun. Oh, here we go, here we go. You're recording them?
No, it's radio.
Now it's recording. Just a bit longer. And you can see, I mean, imagine that. What I'm going to ask Kirsten to do, I don't know if it's possible, but the 3-play that we have in the final control can do a slow-mo, and when the time is right, I'm going to ask her to quickly replay you a shot. The time is not right now, but when the time is right, of a shot of them disengaging there, and you can see the swatting that goes on, and it happens so fast that to our initial eye, you know, and that kind of the speed at which we see, we don't appreciate the incredible speed and the number of times and the intricacy and care that he has to take not to be sort of hit by her. But we'll do that a little bit later. Oh, he's just relieving himself there. That's a wonderful picture. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of narration to the VR ball, so please excuse that if it sounds a bit odd to you. To the left, the sun is coming up. It has come up. It's about to go behind a bank of clouds. It's very hot. And in front to the left, the female leopard is going off towards the male. She will try and seduce him again. They've been in the throes of mating probably for the last 24 hours or so. Let's follow them. The male has just gone to the loo in front of us here. His name is Tingana, and a foul smell is about to assail our nostrils. A cat's dung is not very pleasant to smell at all. Now what I'm going to do is park over here. Now look over to the right-hand side, if you would. And I'm just hoping that she will come back and try and seduce him where he is now, and we'll get a wonderful view of them. So there she is. She's just beyond there. You can just see her dappled coat walking along with what is this sort of leafy-lined drainage line. Wonderful color. She spotted something down there, and he will watch her carefully. And he, of course, is just in front of us here to the right. Look at his eyes. He's watching us quite carefully. And off to the left, there were some impala. Just now, that's what alerted us to their presence. They were alarm calling. And then look at, see above us, a couple of clouds building, but I think that they're going to be scorched off by what promises to be the hottest day in Lowveld summer today. Here we go. Here she comes. Here we go. Just listen. Look at her anger. How cross she is. That blood-curdling growl that she makes. loosely hung voice box, and that allows them to make that tremendously blood-curdling growl that only the big cats can make. No other animal I know of makes a noise quite so terrifying. There, a lovely picture there on the back of her neck. If you look, you can see where the male has been biting her, holding her down. Let's just move again. She spotted something down in there, you can see. Now, of course, this is very hungry work what they're doing here, and so it is quite possible that she will try and kill something during the course of their mating, which they will probably share, i.e. he will steal a man-sized portion of it. He's also seen whatever it is now. So he's just down to the left, in front there, to the left, sort of at 11 o'clock, is the female. She's looking down into this leaf line, drainage line, where there might be a duiker, there might be a scrub hare, there might be some other small animal that could satiate their hunger. You can see his belly's actually quite full. I think he's probably eaten something, during the course of the night. Here she comes again. This will be a wonderful shot. Let's keep an eye on both of them now. Look at the size difference. Look how much bigger than her she is. This is incredible. Look at the dust. This is truly fantastic. Please keep sending your questions through, everybody. I know that I have been talking to the VR for the last little while, but that's okay. We can still answer questions and take any comments that you might have.
We need to wrap VR.
We need to wrap VR. Okay, I'm just going to make a clap. That just helps it to sync. Marvelous. Beautiful stuff. Virginia, I think you probably answered your own question by just watching what's going on here. You say, do the females roll over after mating? Like house cats? Absolutely they do. I've never seen a house cat mate, but that's exactly what she does. And I'm sure that contraction, there she's rolling in buffalo dung there, that's quite common too. I'm not convinced that it's to mask their smell. I don't know why else they would do it though. She's obviously quite exhausted. So I think that, again, helps to, I'm sure it helps with the process of fertilization. So the contractions that she will have after mating and the lying on the back, I'm sure, helps the process of fertilization. Well, we don't get to see this every day, do we? A very nice question from Naughty Badger. I'm not sure I've heard from you before, Naughty Badger. But you want to know if lions were to hear these leopards mating, would they come in and disturb them? Yes. Lions will not put up with any other predators in the area. Even if hyenas saw them, they would probably come and investigate. But certainly lions would come rushing in here, and the leopards would be forced to melt off into the distance. It wouldn't be difficult for them to get away from lions, but lions won't tolerate having other predators around if they can avoid it. Now, I can't really go forward from here, so I think we're just going to wait. I might be able to sneak in between them. Let me just try. If it does make too much noise, I'm going to stop though. Just going to wait here. Now, Virginia and Kentucky, I absolutely agree with you. You would think that with all this mating that Tingana's had to do over the last little while, he would be hiding. Okay, I'm just quickly look over there. There's some Franklins in front of us. And they're all looking deeply surprised by the commotion out here. I don't know why I find it so amusing. Here comes the female. Franklins to the right, leopards to the left, and here they're going to mate again. The size difference is always amazing to me. When I see a female leopard on her own, I never think that she's small. Hello, Rich in Chicago. While the leopards move off, you want to know what the Shangaan term for mating is. Rich, I only know a fairly slang term. I don't know what the polite term is. I don't know that there is one, actually. It's almost kind of, in a lot of the local languages, it's almost kind of implied. So there isn't a sort of biological term for it. It's not socially acceptable to talk about such things in many of our indigenous cultures. So the term that would be used, I suppose, would be kunza. And I wouldn't throw that around if I came out here. I wouldn't start throwing that word around in polite circles. I think people would stare at you at the least and probably slap you upside the head at the worst. But I don't know that there's a more polite term than that. So that would be Khunza, kunza. But I don't think it's not a polite term that people would use in general conversation. Here comes the male now, on the right-hand side.
Give me a clap for the You give me a clap for the
Okay. Just had to clap for the virtual reality rig there. So now the female is still here. I'm just going to ask Jamie if she is talking to Taxon. So Jamie's just going to guide the other guides in, so we don't have to worry about that too much. But it does look like they might go into this drainage line and will be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to follow them through here. But we can pick them up on the other side if they go through. There is a path that runs along the northern side here. Isn't this wonderful? See them panting, they're already hot. I'll just move up forward a little bit here. Judy, you want to know if a leopard would ever choose not to mate because of the pain? No, I don't think they'd ever choose not to mate. I think they might choose to end mating when the pain got too much. But remember, these animals are tremendously tough. Here she comes again. I'm just going to stop here and wait and see what happens. She's coming over there. See how he's probably had enough. But he will eventually be induced to perform. Again and again and again. Now they're lying right close to each other. Wimpy, shall I try and get in here a little bit? I'll try and get a better view. Everybody, they are lying behind a bush. As you can see, obviously. I'm actually going to stop here. She's just wagging her tail and hissing a bit. I don't think it would induce her to charge at all, but it's because she's feeling a little bit uncomfortable, so I'm just going to stop here. She's only about 10 meters from us, 30 feet. We could go in from the other side if you like. What do you think, Glenn? Happy here. Let's just wait. Yeah. Good idea. Phew, I feel quite exhilarated by all this. Now, Teshmira, you're very validly wondering all the way from Texas how many days a female leopard will remain in estrus. Normally up to a week, Teshmira, and you're absolutely correct. They will stop mating once she comes out of estrus. That's precisely what will happen. This is just so very special. Maybe I'll put our nose in there quickly, just before the next meeting, as it were. Might just afford us a slightly better view. How's that? Yep, go for it. Okay, we're just going to turn the VR on again. VR is on speed. Now, I'm not going to clap now. I think we're a bit close. We'll clap afterwards. What that clapping does is just help to sync all of the 7 cameras that are now filming Tingana and Tundi just prior to their next mating. I'm parked in the middle, basically, of a knobthorn tree, shaded by its wilting leaves and the drought, the worst drought in more than 100 years in this particular area. And down to the left, of course, the couple, Tingana, male leopard, and Tundi, female. And she, of course, is well out of her territory. She is in her mother's territory, and I suspect that's why her mother is tolerating her at this stage. Just indicating for the other drives to come in. Well, here's an interesting one that I'm not sure I can answer the question to. Alice, you're in Ohio, and you want to know if they might consider stopping mating if it became too hot. Alice, I suppose they might, you know. I'm sure it would reduce. Certainly, I mean, they've been, not to put too fine a point at it, on it, they've been at it all night. And so you can see they're both panting already. I think they did eat something. They look like they've had something to eat. His belly's quite full, so that panting will have something to do with the fact that their bellies are full, but it's also the heat. We're probably just sitting at around 6:30 in the morning, and it is already 32 degrees Celsius, which is very hot. It's pushing up towards 90 degrees Fahrenheit already, despite the real earliness of the morning. So let's just wait and see what happens here for a little while longer. We're not going to be here for the whole morning. We will have to make way for some of the other vehicles that are coming in. So let's just see what happens now. Flies everywhere. Now down, Nate, you're in Nevada and you want to know, you say you understand why you can see the female is exhausted, but why is the male exhausted? Nate, these leopards are mating probably 12 times every hour. You could try and keep up that rate for the next 12 hours. It's exhausting work. It's also hot. And you can see, Viam, if you flick back to him, you can see his tongue actually sticking out. He's exhausted because of the physical taxing physical strain of mating 12 times every hour for the last 12 hours. It's very tiring work. You can see they're having a bit of a snooze now. There might be a bit of a hiatus in the mating. Oh yes, she's definitely going to sleep. Now, Gen B, you are asking a very valid question to which I don't really know the answer, but I'm going to have a guess. You want to know how on earth he can possibly have any semen left after such vigorous mating and such frequent mating. Gen B, I think what you'll find is that a lot of the mating is probably what we might call dry, if you like, and the mating itself is not necessarily always for insemination. What it will do is cause her to ovulate. So this kind of strategy that they have of this consistent, constant mating, I think induces her to ovulate. It kind of prepares the way, if you like. And then I think you'll find that slowly as it builds, eventually he will release more and more, and that will in due course cause fertilization. So I think you'll probably find for quite a long time he doesn't ejaculate at all. That's my guess. I don't know that for sure, but I do know that the frequent mating is a function of the fact that it does help her to ovulate. Look at her beautifully sleeping there now. And bear, yes, I think they would, and I think they did. So you want to know if they would stop mating if prey came along, if something that they wanted to eat came along, would they stop mating for a while? I think they probably did that last night, Bear. They look like they've eaten to me. They may have caught a young impala or a steenbok or a duiker or something like that. I'm just going to find out quickly how many people are trying to get into the sighting.
Copy that, perfect.
Are any stations looking to try and get into the sighting of Tingana and Tandi? So we don't put more than 3 vehicles in these sightings, everyone. And we had a question the other day.
James, I haven't heard anyone else responding, but I'll just
Jamie's just keeping me posted. So it looks like we're okay. We can stay here for the next little while. But we don't want to overpressure the animals here. And we had a question the other day about how somebody had heard that the area has become totally inundated with tourists, that it's impossible to have an intimate wilderness experience anymore. And that is just simply not true. And one of the reasons is that we limit these sightings to just 3 people. An interesting question from Michael Fleetwood. Is it possible that Karula is still around and watching? I don't think so at this stage, Michael. It's possible, yes, but I don't think she is. I think she would have moved off during the course of the night, either to go hunting. We don't know what her status is at the moment. We don't know if she still has a cub. We haven't been able to get a very clear indication of whether she's lactating or not. And Michael, you want to know, would she then mate with Tingana? If she has lost her cub, she will come into estrus very quickly. And yes, then she would mate with Tingana, absolutely. He is the dominant male of the area. This is his territory, so she may well try and mate with him. But not at the same time. In fact, I have actually seen males mating with two females at the same time. So if she was an estrus, there's no real reason why they wouldn't both be engaged in seducing him. But I have often seen, and this is a very common thing, where a female will come out of her territory into another female's territory, and while she does that, the attendant female, the territorial female, will be in attendance while they mate. So that's not uncommon at all. It wouldn't be quite as tolerated if the females weren't as closely related as they are. Of course, there was Karula's mother, who was at least not Karula's mother, it was Tundi's mother, who was in attendance last night, just keeping an eye on things, and that's very common. Daughters set up territories next to their mothers, and so because of that, it's not unusual for them to have a meeting every so often. He is panting, she is fast asleep, so I'm not sure what they're going to do here, but while we wait and see what happens, we will nip straight back here if they get up and do anything at all, set across to Brent, get an update from him, and we'll